That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty shit.
Somebody's always farming the fuck out of them too.
If I'm for
Yeah,
an hour
half
and
the
got
time
like
it's
one,
that
I was like, fuck
Hunter
this.
bot with the pet with Japanese.
Really early on, I was able to farm some and ended up getting quite a few.
Yeah, Vespillo's right. The elemental invasion is the best place for getting essences.
Except people are stupid and kill the leaders like almost immediately, which despawns all the elementals.
When we split up, after we're done with this and we go to Thunder Bluff, let's if there's people come and discover, it's going to be kind of weird to have probably 40, 50 of us all in Mulgore. But if people come, just don't let people distract us. Like, just ignore them while we're doing this.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to go out back of Mulgore and there shouldn't really be anybody there. So
We'll run into like one random level 8 Tauren who's like, what in the fuck is going on here?
we'll make a big circle.
Remember, don't zone into Ani. Do not zone into Ani.
Hey, Panda, you here?
I am.
What's the... Do you know what the mats for the shield enchant is? Is it int or stam? No, if it's both.
7 stam is the best thing you can get on a shield.
Isn't there int eventually?
BC.
Oh,
There's
fuck.
also spirit if you want one on your shield.
Get like block value instead.
Yeah, he's right on that one. Block
30
value.
block, yeah.
Best.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
Break over in 1 minute.
Do you have superior spirit? Is
I
that
do.
not better than stam?
Not really.
Because if you're getting smacked, you'll actually block more than with stam. Is that the idea? I don't know.
Yo, this logic. I can't deny this.
Who is
It's
staying?
only 5 vision
this
dust?
group?
Okay, I don't have that. I'll get... Oh, it's greater. What the fuck?
Image push.
Okay, break is over. I'm going to call names in Discord. If I call your name, then leave raid and whisper. Glory Days, Galaxy, Rathex, Amora, Papa, Thagamizer, Drumroll, Nigel, Zugly, Kashilla, Robbie, Ishanu, oh me, Danger, Maddox, Auspicious, Ilt, Helidown, Stagna, Jayan, Stream, Short Snout, and One-Eyed Wit.
What was that group? Was that leaving?
That was everybody I said is leaving and whispering Ishanu or just leaving and accepting an auto.
He said, "Oh, that's me."
Yeah, that straight up made me laugh out loud.
I think the only person I'm missing is Stream.
Jesus, Robbie.
How many healers you got short? Incoming.
Once every 5 times.
Go ahead and zone in, guys. If you're in Ishanu's group, go ahead and move.
Is Thag supposed to be in the?
It's in our
He's
group.
in the other group.
We have 22 right now.
I think you're in the other group too. This is Bill's channel, right?
This is Bill's channel. It's in the other group.
Mer.
Hey, Will? You in
Yep.
here? Do you mind zoning out and going to the other raid?
Sure, that's fine.
I fucked up and changed a tank around, but wasn't
Oh,
thinking that I
crap.
shortchanged the other raid.
Oh, but bro, please.
Heal Amora.
Don't let Amora die twice on trash.
I'm still here.
Wow, we're just dropping like flies.
Well, trash is the place to die.
I had just enough buffs to do this fight.
Okay, I'll be out in a second.
Papa, you know deep down inside you deserve that.
Is that all of them? Do we kill 3 or only 2?
2.
Okay, let me, before we go too crazy with the buffing, I'm gonna move. Because probably people weren't healing Papa because they didn't know Papa was there. And Ilt is odd man out. Okay, let's move up. Last warder. And somebody let me make sure I put Master Loot on after we're out of combat.
Master loot ready, go.
Pre-pot, greater fire if you have it. Other consumables if you have them. Thag, are you alright tanking phase 1? Thag was having issues with... Oh, Thag's in Discord. Thag hear me in Discord?
Thagomizer.
He said something about Discord not working properly earlier.
Okay, every other warrior, Rathix, Amora, pop. Try to sandbag your threat and pop Recklessness or whatever cooldowns you have and try to pick her up in phase 3, please. And if you have aggro, obviously slap on a shield and healers switch to whichever warrior has aggro in phase 3.
Somehow I'm in Undercity and I have no clue how that happened.
Are you saved to Ani?
No, I was standing there with you all, and I'm just all of a sudden in Undercity. I looked up from my screen and just seen I was leaving.
Loading crash. You run out of something real quick.
Probably press teleport.
This is Ilt's jinx.
I'm
All
saying,
things are going wrong.
dude. I'm telling you, man. Whenever that word "should" just is my in life, not just this game. Like in my 48 years of living, that word has fucked me over more times than any other. But this isn't that big of a deal. It's only a 5 minute. If it's only 5 minutes, we'll summon him and it'll be good to go.
Have plenty of time to use another pot.
Does anyone need anything while I'm in Undercity?
Million gold.
I got you, Bob.
It only cost me 2 million, right?
Only gonna cost you 2 million.
So is it true that, while we have a couple minutes here, is it true that the of Beasts Dark Moon cards, if I already have Ace of Beasts, all the rest of them are going to drop significantly in price in like a couple weeks?
Usually.
Right
Usually-
now, right now it's just the tryhards. I don't usually use that term. Who are trying to get it before anyone else. But once it's kind of like with AV, how we had all those quick queue times and now it's an hour. Same thing's going to happen in about 2 weeks.
No, every server I've ever been on, the aces are the only ones that are worth any money. The rest of them are just after a few weeks, they're like literally like they almost vendor for more than you can sell.
Yeah, like 10, 15 gold at max.
Wasn't the 5 of Beast on the private server like super hard to get?
Yeah, there might be 1 or 2 that have bad RNG or something, but most of them you'll be vendoring in here and probably less than them.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
The aces though are never going to drop in value.
I just
At
want to
least
get an
not
ace
for a
to
while.
sell it.
Well, I already have the Ace of Beasts. Someone sold it via
I would
trade.
suggest just putting it in the bank and waiting a few weeks.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
If you guys are ready, stack on Moon. Fag is still not in Discord.
It says it. He said it was messed up.
He said, I asked, he said, yeah, I don't know what's going on with my Discord. It's not booting up. It's just doing that spin load thing. And I said, okay. So I don't think he's going to be in Discord.
So like I said, every warrior, sandbag your threat in phase 1 and try to wreck and pick her up in phase 3 so we get a smooth as possible transition. If everybody's ready, I'm going to have that go. Tight stack on phase 1. Let's not get tail swiped or breathed on.
4, 3, 2, 1.
4 pony.
Don't get aggro on Ani before the tank does, Ishan.
Remember, we're just wanding because it's a split raid. We're doing white hits.
range just wants to get fireballed in phase 2. It'll be. We don't want all of the tanks to get fireballed, so we actually want range to be high in phase 1 and ahead in phase 2. In phase 2, they all get fireballed.
I'm always high.
Well, that's good. Yeah, if all the warriors could just stop. All the warriors just stop DPS, please. Sandbag your threat. Let some range get up ahead.
Oh, he's pointing right at us.
Yeah, that's where you stop.
That's the opposite of what you said.
swinging.
Okay, pop cooldowns and burn. Burn, burn, burn. Little awkward. I didn't mean Thag stop, but Thag can't hear me anyway.
I mean, I don't see a handful of people in threat meter.
Burn her hard. Melee cleanup whelps. There's a lot on the right side. Spread out for fireballs. Remember, east and west are safe if there's a breath. Northeast, southwest are safe for breath. Spread out for fireballs.
I haven't gotten a fireball yet, and I'm fucked when she lands.
Get ready to go north then.
That's what I was thinking.
North and south are safe. North and south are safe. Six more percent.
There's my fireball.
No.
Papa, no.
One more fireball. Are you kidding?
These spots are safe. A couple more percent. Be ready to run north if you have aggro. Get her down. We're looking good with Thagamora Rathix. Fuck. Bring her down.
38%.
Stop all DPS. Run north if you have aggro. Tremors. It's on Rathix. Rathix, you have a shield. Heals on Rathix. Watch the tail, guys. Get up in position.
Got a few whelps on the left.
Everybody clean up whelps. Watch the tail, guys. Get up to the center of her body. Everybody should be on whelps. Alright, slow and steady, guys. DPS bandage when you get a chance.
Ah, you.
It's on Papa, right? It's on Rathix again. It's on Rathix. Whoa. It's on Amora.
Oh my god, guys, there's 4 of you alive. Kill 1%. Healers die. Wow.
4 alive.
5, my screens, they were low health. I couldn't see them. There was a lot of people low health that looked like they were dead.
Wow.
There's 9 alive, 10 alive.
Nice loot.
Is it bad?
It's really bad.
3 scale of the shard. 3 scales. Is that what it is?
Nope.
Bloodfang hood. Sinew.
I told you that shard don't drop.
Nah, it never dropped a single time on the private servers, not even once. We never saw one single
Fucking double Bloodfang.
Dude, just fucking unlucky.
If you can't see me to res, it's because fucking Short Snout is sitting on my face.
I got you.
Good
I'm
job,
resing you.
Good job, Short Out. Good job.
I don't know, that cloak isn't bad. Remember, mages, you should wear for Veil, you should have just spell damage gear, or I actually bought some arcane damage gear for Veil, because arcane missiles are the way to go for that fight, since it's because, like, I bought arcane wrath, shoulders, and I don't need to buy wrists anymore, but shoulders, and I'm going to wear my orb of my Aqua Menace instead of the AV, because it's spell damage. And the arcane ones instead of the boreal mantle.
Why is arcane missiles better? Is it just not mana efficient?
Well, there's pushback the entirety of that fight, so your cast times on your frostbolt are like twice as slow. And the arcane missiles, it's a constant speed. You get 1 less bolt, but you can just reapply it because there's unlimited mana. It just ends up being the highest DPS. In theory, it's going to be the highest DPS. That's what they're suggesting we do.
Yeah, if you've exalted with AV, just go pick up that Therazine's touch.
Oh yeah.
You probably just passed it up because it wasn't for us.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Good call. Fag doesn't have the head yet.
Your loot man.
Oh, my loot master? I thought Ashanu was.
Nope.
He said he didn't want that shit. It's all you.
I was sitting back just fucking... Okay.
I was distracted doing other things. I didn't realize you weren't even doing the loot.
Yeah, no, when we first logged in, I checked and it was you, so I figured it was you. All right, Saffron Drape. Casters, who wants that?
Cash does. She's working on it.
So for Kashilla, if no one else says anything, it's going to Kashilla in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grass. Are we going to give this to Thag, the head, or does anyone else our raid core need it? Any melee DPS? Go ahead and physical DPS, not have that. So I'm going to give it to Thag, right? I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes. I feel very important now, Elf. Thank you for letting me tell you that.
Bloodfang Hood.
2 shards.
Ugh. Hey, who can DE here? Can nobody DE?
Bro, they got 2 fucking Nemesis caps on the other group, bro.
So I guess we're just going to vendor this stuff?
God.
Oh.
Do we really have no one that can DE?
Don't take it if you've not rolled for the bag.
Oh yeah, there's a bag still. Ha! Suckers. Sucker.
All right, roll for that bag, and I guess I'm just going to take everything else myself. Only if you have not won one
Taking
yet.
that bag this time.
Thanks a lot, Galaxy. I'm not gonna roll now.
Grats, Galaxy.
Ruined
You
my
should all feel bad.
Enjoy those 2 slots, brother.
Oh, I will.
We have a bottomless bag pattern yet?
No, man. I fucking wish.
So I've got a ton of cloth.
All right, that's everything. I'll put up a. Oh, we're going to Thunder Bluff.
Thunder Bluff.
Okay. We should probably put a notice in Discord and Guild Chat that we're going to be doing this. If they want to.
Where exactly are we going?
Thunder Bluff.
And then where?
Wherever Shanu tells us. I believe they said somewhere north. Is what they said when the raid started. I can't remember.
Shall we jump back up to raid 1?
Yeah, let's all get up together.
Go ahead and leave raid, guys.
If a DPS needs it, they should get it.
I think we're voting on that. It's main spec, right?
Yeah, then pass for me.
Should be on everybody.
I think anybody that wanted it already got it.
I think those were all off specs. Oh, Hide of the Wild is a healer one, right?
Yeah, I have that one.
Okay.
So
we'll
yeah, pass it
consider
to a
those
DPS that
off
needs it.
Is it 85 for Kisser?
Nexnar rolled on it. I don't know if he wants to wear it now.
Nexnar got a low roll.
Happy birthday, Lintuck. I saw you fall off.
Happy birthday, Lintock.
Nexnar, did you want that main spec?
No, I just used for PvP or
Okay,
something.
cool. Grat Sleepy on gems. Oh, you're not here. I'll get it for you, Sleepy.
That's Sleepy.
Thanks.
All right, Skinner.
That's me. Oh, wait, you got it. Thank you.
Can I get a quick promote, Vil?
Yep.
I didn't have my gloves on.
All right.
Why is it saying I need skinning 315 now and I have skinning 315? Oh, what
You have the dagger equipped.
I did, and then it unequipped when I... Oh, never mind. Yeah, sorry. I'm an idiot.
So we're heading to northern Mulgore, guy.
Yeah, it's just north of Thunder Bluff. If you're in raid 1, then you can come to where raid 1 is. If not, we're just outside of the back elevator. If you come down the path from the back elevator, you can find us pretty easy.
It's good to plummet from Thunder Bluff and then to watch Ilt levitate down behind.
Okay, I'm gonna start another 10-minute break timer. Nah, 5-minute break timer. I think 10 minutes is a little too long. Everybody's here, reported to Thunder Bluff. Quick 5-minute break timer. Refresh yourself on Blackwing Lair. Remember, we have the Blackwing Lair bestiary posted. Skim through that if you haven't already, which hopefully you all have. And we will go get yourself something to drink, a snack, and we'll spend, I don't know, half hour to an hour. I don't think we need an hour, but however long it takes, Walking through each boss, walking through trash, walking through expectations, and answering anybody's questions. Just so that we're all on the same page for tomorrow, and we give it our best first foot into Blackwing Lair. So timer's out. It's at 4 minutes and 30 seconds for people not in raid 1. I promise we didn't discriminate if you're not in the raid. Ishanu, Short Snout, and Darhole, I think, are all streaming. If anybody wants to watch from inside the raid perspective, maybe just turn off mute Discord and listen to the stream would probably be the best. I don't know.
%.
AFK for a minute.
This would be a funny scene to just like stumble across when you're like a level 8 tour going about your business.
I think
All
we're
in the
fucking
circle around
LARPing.
Ishani.
Although you're probably around, by the time you get up north like this, you're probably more like around level 11, huh?
I've never leveled the Mulgore. I know.
It's very peaceful. There's that cave with the fucking. There's the cave that's kind of, you got to go kill the foreman. That can be kind of dicey at a low level. They respawn pretty fast in that fucking cave.
The Quillbore area.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Break over. Somebody brought this Prairie Wolf Alpha to our raid.
We needed something to eat.
More like we brought the raid to the Prairie Wolf Alpha's home.
All right. Hopefully everybody's back. I'm going to be reiterating through some of the main topics. Maybe right now at the beginning of this little mini thing, probably in the middle of it, and at the end of it, because there's some really key concepts that I know we've already mentioned a lot that are going to come to fruition in Blackwing Lair. And I want to make sure that everybody understands them and doesn't miss anything. So, the major things about Blackwing Lair that are going to be different from MC, it's going to be hard. The fights are going to be longer, and we're going to need a lot more discipline. And what that means is one really big thing that we've mentioned a lot is threat. So for one, there's trash and bosses that are 100% immune to taunt and taunt mechanics, such as Mocking Blow and Challenging Shout. Which means if you pull aggro, you're dead. Because the tank can't get it off of you in any meaningful way. They have to surpass you by 10% or whatever, and it's not pretty. And the other part of that is there's a lot of mobs in Blackwing Lair, especially the bosses, where if you pull aggro and the boss turns and the positioning is awkward, you kill us. You will wipe the raid. If you decide to get one last Shadow Bolt in and you think you're okay and it crits and it turns and we get Shadow Flamed, we all die and it's your fault 100%. Same thing with an extra Bloodthirst or an extra Execute. Threat meter will be very, very important. That goes for Razor Gore. The very first boss in Blackwing Lair in Razor Gore, he has a cleave. And if you pull aggro and he turns on the melee and he cleaves all the melee and kills us all, it's going to really hamper our chances of success. Veil, we're going to require multiple tanks. That's really important. Same thing. If Veil turns in the wrong position, he flame breaths and chain cleaves and we all die. Broodlord, third boss. 3 people are going to be tanking it. If you pull aggro, he's going to turn and chain cleave and we die. Firemaw, fourth boss. If you pull aggro, he turns. Shadow Flames, we all die. Ebonrock, Flame Gore. If you pull aggro, he turns, he flame breaths, we all die. I hope everybody's getting the picture. Chromag, if we fuck up Chromag positioning because a ranged pulls aggro, then we just lose. Neff, same thing. We want a tank second in threat on once we get to phase 2 of Neff, so that way we can consecutively break fears in case there's bad tremor timing. So yeah, the raid is full, by the way. We mentioned if you're not in the raid, come find us just north of Mulgore, past the elevator, the backside elevator, and watch either Darhole or Short Sound or myself. The other mechanic that the fight's being harder is going to mean is that we're going to have to use mana cooldowns healing. Some of the fights might be face roll. We have a lot more DPS than we had on private servers. Things are undertuned a little bit as far as armor goes. But likely, especially on things like Chromag and Neferi, the fights are going to be really long. So if you're not familiar with downranking, using efficient healing, and using your mana rotation, such as pop like a demonic rune or a mana potion as soon as you have mana available, and you'll probably need to pop a second mana potion throughout the fight, mana tide totems, etc., etc. So I'm sure every class has a guide on your optimal mana rotation. Just keep that in mind that you probably want to be using those. And the final thing is consumables. I made a note of it. I kind of mentioned it on Bragg today. We had about 10 people, a dozen people missing greater fire protection. That really just can't happen on some of these fights. Razor Gore, we're kind of okay. Veil, we absolutely will need probably 2 greater fire protection potions on every single person in the raid if we're going to succeed. One big advantage we had on private servers was the fire resistance buff. there's going to be some try-hard guilds that are going to get on ahead of time and go into Ubers and pre-clear it and spend half an hour to an hour just getting fire resist buff for the whole raid. We're not going to do that. I know that we have people that work that are getting home and getting to raid just before time. We're just not realistically going to be able to do that, and it's going to take too long during the raid time to do. Veil does a lot of flame aura DPS. And it's going to be a healing check for sure. They have unlimited mana and are going to be spamming high ranks Prayer of Healing and Chain Heal, but it's still going to be a lot of raid damage. So pre-potting Greater Fire and then using another Greater Fire during the fight to make sure we stay alive is going to be critical there. Lots of FAPs for tanks on trash and bosses. Restorative potions on Chromagus are going to be really important. Greater fire protection on Fire Maw helps. It helps you stay in and take more damage and reduce the strain on healers. Greater fire protection on Flame Gore helps. It's going to reduce the strain on healers. Resto pots on Chromag are probably going to be critical, depending on how long the fight is and how low our healer mana gets from all the dispelling and decursing and de-diseasing. And greater shadow protection on Nefarian is also going to be very, very important for phase 1. He just throws out 1,000 damage shadow bolts a lot to everybody all over the place during phase 1. And when there's also cleave mechanics going on from the ads and everything, those help a lot. So we've mentioned that a lot. Greater fire protection, resto potions, FAPs for melees and tanks, greater shadow protection potions, everybody for Nef. I hope that everybody has paid attention to that the last couple months and has stocked up a little bit. Any questions thus far about just general Blackwing Lair expectations? Another thing Ilt mentioned was come enchanted. We've been raiding for a long time. We've had plenty of time to get stuff enchanted. Bring consumables, have your shit enchanted, and we're going to put our best foot forward in Blackwing Lair tomorrow. The other thing is we are going to kind of maybe not necessarily, we're going to make sure that we have a good raid comp tomorrow. We want to make sure we have the right people, the right raid comp. So we're going to keep that in mind, as well as recency of benched whenever we're deciding who comes tomorrow. But signups were looking bleak on the website, so it doesn't look like we're going to have too much choice unless people weren't signing up. So only 37 signups. Yeah, go ahead.
You've been talking about fire protection potions a lot. Are you going to encourage wearing fire resistance gear on any of
I don't know that we've really discussed this as an officer. Anybody else is free to chip in. Tanks for sure already know what they're doing. I would say
healers if they know what they're doing.
Yeah, don't
Flexible.
gimp yourself. I don't think there's
Exactly.
there's no fight where we want to gimp ourselves in order to equip fire resistance. But if you have a few key pieces that also have decent stats, or you have one piece that just has a fuck ton of fire resist on it, and you're not giving up too many stats in that slot to equip it, yeah, I would absolutely equip for like Veil Straz. It would help probably a lot to have maybe 50 fire resistance or something like that.
I was thinking kind of especially on the Fire Maw fight, like as a melee, if you have enough fire resistance to have your debuffs drop off and not have to hide and let them drop, then you might be actually raising your DPS, even if you are gimped a little bit in terms of.
So the Fire Maw fight specifically is a really interesting fight where it doesn't actually. It's not a difficult fight, and it's not going to be. That's not going to be a long fight, and I don't think we're going to run out of time on that fight. So any fire resist wearing to try to get one less, you have to run out one less time that's like, for me, in my perspective, that's like parsing shenanigans. Realistically, we're probably only going to need to run out like 2 times at the most. And if you're just trying to push it really hard, so you only have to run out 1 time, whereas everybody else is running out 2 times, I mean, technically, maybe, but that's going to all be RNG. As long as people are just running out and being safe, getting up to the stacks that we determine, and then I think we'll be okay.
Right, that seems to be kind of the drawback for fire resistance gear, is it's more RNG.
On the private servers, I would say most of us didn't wear any, except for the tanks. The tanks decked themselves out on fire resistance, and I don't think any of us ever did. I think we didn't. Yeah, I don't remember a time when we ever did. That being said, that being said, if you do want to wear some, we're not going to stop you. I would just not wear like greens and stuff. I would wear like good blues, like with what Ashanu said, like stats, some stats on it, some spell power, some healing, whatever, some stats that help your class. Don't wear. What were you gonna say, Kisser?
I'm just saying, like, to swap out the good pieces, like the key pieces, not the, only if you have the really nice fire resist kind of thing.
I did have one question myself on Cro-Mag. He, as a mage, I don't know if I would want to use a restorative potion just because I think I'm really going to need to be chugging mana potion. So, like, do we want the decursors and healers to be using restorative, or are they cool just chugging mana?
I would say most likely we want people that are decursing, people that are healing, probably using mana potions. That's probably better in the long term.
Sorry, which white is this?
Cro-Mag.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we had a dedicated dispeller, like on private server, one priest, which was me, usually just dispelled, nothing else.
Yeah, honestly, the mages did very little dispelling on the private servers.
But like warlocks and all melee should absolutely be popping resto pots, and we'll save them for like the last 20% so that everybody can focus and dispel and decurse less for that last 20%.
I think I'd rather people make sure they can get through the fight with enough mana first, and then if you feel like you can or use a potion cooldown on that, do it.
Yeah, for sure. If after the first week or two, you still have like a quarter mana left when Cro-Mag's dead, then please use a restorative potion because that'll make it even easier. That was my only question.
Any other questions about general expectations or anything like that? Besides that, I'm just going to kind of walk through every boss and the positioning a little bit. We put some raid markers, throw some tanks around, and kind of show what it's going to be for people that haven't been there.
I thought of one more quick question. And at the risk of being labeled a jinxer, are we going to have any kind of like unified strategy for wipe recovery, or is it just going to be like call it out when
it very much depends where we wipe. Like what we do for suppression room, we pretty much have to run back, but other places we can sometimes use recovery.
Don't release until called for, basically. Still.
Yeah, never release until we tell you to do it.
Exactly. Never release until called for. Yeah, that's a good strategy in any raid in vanilla. Never release until called for. On most trash and bosses, we're normally in a position where we can reset, or rather we can wipe and recover there, which we probably will do most of the time.
We had some epic recoveries on the suppression room back in the day.
Okay, so jumping right in, Razor. So I don't have all of these made up because I honestly decided that I didn't want to share except for my own notes because I want people to watch videos. But I'll share this one for now. One sec, snipping tool.
With the exception of the first boss, I actually believe that most of the strats we're going to be using, you can literally watch us do in the video I posted with the time. I think we are going to tweak up this first boss. We're going to do it differently.
So if you have a second monitor, or even if you have one monitor, we'll just talk about the fight real quick, and then we'll do it in person with some raid markers and some tanks real quick. So in Discord guild chat, I just posted it. So Razor Gore the Untamed has 3 phases, you could call it. Really, it's just 2. The first thing that we do is the raid is that dark blue circle in the bottom left corner. That's where everybody stacks up and buffs up. We will see from very first raid streams whether or not And what Stream mentioned is we'll have the orb controller, a hunter will run to the and see if they aggro while everybody else is still outside of the raid. And then if possible, we'll just go by the orb and feign death. Or we might not have a hunter do it actually. But anyway, we'll test that out. But the rest of the raid is going to sit on the blue circle at the pool. Somebody's going to immediately control the orb, and everybody else is going to kill those 3 mobs on the left. There's like a little mini boss in his 2 ads. In skull-like square order, we just cleave them down. You can pop cooldowns pretty easily there because cooldowns will be back up before the end of phase 1. After that, everybody spreads out to the light blue circles, and there will be 3 mobs that spawn. The 3 mobs that spawn out of each corner are a mage, a dragon, and a warrior. I think they're called legionnaires, actually. Kill priority for those will be mages first, always. Melee can just kind of lock them down real quick and burn them. Dragons second. They have a lot more HP and are going to take a little more to kill. On private servers, we actually use to kite these. And if we feel like we're going to get overwhelmed with dragons, we'll swap mid pool and start having hunters kite some of them, and we'll hibernate some of them. And then the legionnaires, which we just kind of clean up afterwards, and the tanks will just kind of pick up, or we'll CC and sheep while we kill one of the first 2 mobs. So all healers and ranged are kind of standing in the middle. Ranged and healers kind of are favored towards their side, whichever side they're assigned to. Melee spread out to each corner with an assigned tank in each corner. Any questions about Razor Gore phase 1?
The mages in the mages in on this fight are like lava spawns in MC. They just always have to be instant priority.
We'll also have Papa in the center to help protect the healers.
The spawns will act the same like they did on private servers. It could be 2 mages, it could be 2 legionnaires.
Yeah,
I think so.
It was like that on the private servers too. It was just totally random.
Right.
Will the mages be marking their sheep targets so I know to not keep hitting? Because normally
We're not gonna do that.
Yeah. So the only thing that we'll do, so I didn't write this down, but basically, so the kill order is mages, dragon, always. Tank priority is to pick up a dragon. If there's a dragon, if there's not a dragon, pick up a warrior. Don't even bother trying to tank the mage. It's just not worth your time. They're going to die so fast. We'll throw a kidney shot on them or whatever. They'll die so fast. It won't matter. We'll interrupt them and their melee doesn't do very much. Tank priority is to pick up a dragon if there's a dragon. If there's no dragon, they pick up the legionnaire. If there's a dragon and a legionnaire, then we want to sheep the legionnaire or blind it or gouge it or frost nova it or any one of those things while we kill the dragon. I'm anticipating, especially if we walk in there with world buffs on the first try, this stuff will just die so fast and get cleaved down so fast that this won't really be a big issue. Even the legionnaires don't hit that hard. But to be safe on the first attempt, if we want to sheep, Nova, whatever, if there's a dragon and a warrior, then we'll sheep, Nova, stun, gouge, whatever, the warrior while we kill the dragon.
Ish.
Yeah.
The consensus seems to be out there that the private server strat of running from the center and not aggroing is not going to be a thing because aggro radius is larger.
Correct. Which is what I mentioned at the beginning, that we're going to test that. And we'll either see from a previous raid or we're going to test it while everybody else is out of.
Yeah, we're going to have everyone else wait to zone in, and the hunter's going to go in and test it out.
Luckily, the only change it makes is it'll take a couple extra seconds before Razor Gore is beginning to destroy eggs. So it makes phase 1 last a tiny bit longer, but otherwise everything's.
Okay, so that's phase 1. At the end of phase 1, when there's only a few eggs left, whoever our orb controller is going to stop controlling the orb. They'll just, I don't know if there, I think there's a way to cancel it. If not, they just let the duration. And Papa is going to take over the orb. And Papa is going to, while taking over the orb, pop the last 2 to 3 eggs. Because on private servers and what we think that the consensus will be on how it works, whoever has control of the orb when the last egg is popped will have some ridiculous amount of threat, either like guaranteed threat, or they're just granted 1,000,000 threat, or however it's going to end up working. So we will have Papa in full mitigation fire resist gear just take down the last couple eggs, and then the phase 2 transition, he will have aggro on him, and he will take the first conflag and tank the conflag. As you see, he'll be on the orb. Razorgore will likely be, I'm not sure if we've determined our exact Razorgore position that we want him in to break those last couple orbs. I think we want him over there on the left-hand side.
I thought it's on the bottom right.
On his platform, there's like 10 eggs, so the last 3 on that platform, and then we can pick them up.
Right. So then he'll run across the room to the orb controller while Papa's running across the room, Razorgore's coming, and then we pull him to that bottom right corner, as you see in my little diagram. And melee need to make sure they're always behind the boss for the cleave. I think the conflagrate does an AoE tick, right?
Yeah, if you're too close to Papa, you'll get conflagged.
Yeah, so that's why I have the threat tank and the midi tank kind of separated there, and they'll kind of stand 90 degrees or 60 degrees away from so that way they can get separated. So the big thing in this phase 2 transition is everybody needs to stay below the threat of the second tank. Threat meter might not handle Papa's threat and how that transition happens. It might just not have that programmed, probably. So basically everybody needs to stay below Vilius on the threat meter. Everybody. Because he's going to conflag the main tank, and then he's going to need to go to another tank. So we normally have DPS just stop during the phase 2 transition. Everybody gets to position, they line of sight like the first fire volley and war stomp, and then they run in once Vil calls DPS.
And the last ads will run out once the last egg goes, so you don't have to keep killing your.
And that's it. Likely free action potions will work for melee and tanks to avoid the war stomp, but I'm guessing that he will last in phase 2 more than 30 seconds, so that's not going to be full. Maybe you use that for like the last 50% or something, or we see how long he takes to kill, but it will help at least with not taking the war stomp damage and not getting stunned. You can also pop some greater fire protection potions here pre-pot, and then pop during that phase 2 to lower the fire volley damage you're taking. If the damage is too high, and maybe on a first attempt, no matter what, everybody needs to be line of sighting that fire volley to reduce raid damage taken. And that's it. As long as everybody stays below Vilius and threat, the second tank and threat on that fight, the phase 2 lines of sights and does the shit, then phase 2 is normally pretty. Any questions?
Fire volley is the only ability that we line up.
In war stomp, melee run out for war stomp.
The melee have to be careful of 2, and the ranged only have to deal with 1.
Yeah, so who knows if DBM is going to be accurate with the timers? Who knows if threat's going to be accurate? So we're going to play it pretty safe. We're going to see how much damage the raid is taking from that fire volley and war stomp, and we're going to see if healers can keep up, what their mana is like after phase 1. It might be that we play really safe and we line of sight a lot of stuff and we take it slow and steady. Any other things that I missed? Razorgore, everybody comfortable with it? Anybody have any questions? Okay. So after Razorgore, the gate opens. You see I have that little note. The gate opens into Vale's room, and there's some goblins in there. And as soon as somebody runs into the room, those goblins start running. They start booking it upstairs and away from us. If we let them get away, they're gone forever. They have a chance at dropping Elementium ore, so we don't want them to get away. So nobody goes in Vale's room after the Razorgore fight. We hang out, we do the loot, we group up, and we run in together. Hunters pop some aspects, rogues sprint in, and we make sure we tag all of those goblins. And once all the goblins are tagged, there's no more trash. Vale is just sitting there waiting for the Nef RP, and we talk to him, and he gives us a buff, and We have infinite time to kind of get positioned while he's still friendly to us. And then we get in position for Veil and we do the Veil fight. Let me post my Veil since I have it, and I might as well.
Do you want me to add these onto the diary? Insert them in there?
If you want to, you can, and I'll eventually get around to finishing Chromag and Neff. But I really want people to watch those Chromag and Neff videos because I think that'll help a lot on those two fights in particular.
I think the second time we engage Vel, if we don't one shot him, we'll have to be careful because on the private servers he didn't aggro until we actually engaged him. But I don't think that's going to be the case on this server. I think he's going to proxy aggro if we get too close.
That is an interesting note.
We need to play that. We might want to, for this very first week, would it be worth, till we find out, would it be worth just letting the goblins?
No,
The first time he'll be fine. I'm saying if we don't one shot him, the second time we go in there, we're going to have to be careful.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. I misheard.
Yeah, Papa. So as long as you tag the goblins, you're good. So you just need to go run in and tag them. I think. Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so
tagging them should be enough.
Yeah. So basically, all rogues and druids and whatever just sprint in, and they don't stop to hit anything. They just tag them on the way by, and they just sprint all the way to the furthest goblin. So there's not any specific assignments. It's everybody just sprint in. So no big deal. So if you're looking at the picture I just posted in Guild Chat for Veil Stras, there's 4 major positions. One is the tank spot, one is the secondary tank spot, one is the melee spot, one is the ranged and healer spot, and then the bomb area. So 3 really big major abilities that he's going to do during the fight are the chain cleave and the tail swipe. And that means that melee needs to be very, very specifically positioned, and range needs to be well out of range, back against the wall at max range. The other thing he does is burning adrenaline, and the burning adrenaline is what causes all of your spells to be instant cast, and your maximum HP is reduced by some amount every second or every couple seconds, basically. Oh, it's 5% reduced max HP per. So basically, in 20 seconds, you're dead no matter what. If you're the tank, you're dead a lot sooner because he's going to be hitting you, and you're going to be dead sooner anyway. So what that means is he will target a mana user, and that mana user will need to run to the bomb area, because after you die, you will blow up and kill everybody. So just like Geddon, you will run to the bomb area. All of your casts will be instant casts. So if you're a healer, spam heal. If you are ranged, spam damage into Veil without pulling aggro. Make sure to not pull aggro. But realistically, you can go above one of the secondary or tertiary tanks during that time, because that tank's not going to die while you have it. Or unless you came after. Anyway, just be careful. Maybe I shouldn't have given that advice. Anyway.
Say that. What did you just? What advice? Sorry. What advice did you say you shouldn't have given?
Going over the secondary or tertiary tanks in threat while you have burning adrenaline. Because if the tank has burning adrenaline and then you get the next burning adrenaline and then he dies while you have aggro, it would be really bad. So just stay below all the tanks all the time on threat on Veil. That's the gist of it. Anyway. So that's the one thing that I didn't really mention yet. The reason that we have 2 tank spots and the reason that we're going to have probably 3 total tanks is because of those very important positioning requirements, and because every third burning adrenaline goes to the current aggro holder, which means that the tank will die every minute, basically. Well, the first one will die sooner, but yeah. What this means is that everybody needs to stay below all 3 tanks. For us, that'll be Papa, Will, and Vil. Sorry. no matter what, you have to stay below all 3 tanks. If not, you kill us. And that's really the simplicity of it. Stay below all 3 tanks. You're going to have unlimited energy. You're going to have a ton of rage constantly generating. All of your spells are going to be free to cast. So no downranking, basically. And you're going to be able to do tons of damage, but you can't out-threat the tanks. And that's really about it. You need to run to the bomb area, and you need to not be above the tanks, and then the tanks need to execute their strategy.
One note that has wiped us in the past. It wiped us when we were progressing, and we've had a couple. We would bring new people to the guild as trials, and they would. When you get the bomb and you can instantly cast all your spells, like just sit there and spam fire bolts and shadow bolts and all this shit. You have, especially if you're one of the first 2 people to get the bomb, you really have to watch your threat. You might not get to spam your shit, because if you're just instant casting fucking shadow bolts, you will pull threat, especially if you're the first person or 2 to get the debuff. So you just got to be really be careful of your threat when you got the debuff.
What Amora just typed is actually the other thing that wiped us the most is that melee positioning. I just remembered that.
Well, on the private servers, the cleave used to cleave off the totems into the ranged. We're not sure if that'll happen on this server or not. But to be on the safe side, we're going to go into it, I think, expecting that it will, and be happy.
Yeah, so totems, that's a good point. Totems need to be placed out of melee range base. The fight will realistically last less than 2 minutes. So you can drop them right before the fight starts out of melee range, and then we run into melee range while the tanks get some threat, and then we start DPS a little after anyway. So you should have plenty of time to drop totems before the fight starts out of melee range, and then we'll move up in melee range. And yeah, whoever we say is the stack point, it needs to be a clean stack, 100% clean stack. So let's practice that while we're here and we're all happy and stuff. Everybody stack on square. If you are a melee, practice stacking on square.
Except if you're not in the raid, you can't see square.
Well, you can see where all the melee stacking is.
And this sounds silly that we're practicing stacking, but on the private, we have to go off on the private servers because it's what we experienced. And if we do that, then we know that this will be doable here. If you were off by just a little bit, you would get people.
So everybody stacked on this pretty good. Now, see where Ishanu is jumping now? Realistically, if you're here, outside of that melee stack point, you will more than likely get cleaved, and that will chain cleave to all of the melee, and you will kill people. If you're here, you're going to get tail swiped into the bomb area and maybe get blown up. Stacking is really, really important. It needs to be a really tight stack. We've been watching some videos. We have some experience. We know where we want to stack. We have some melee that are experienced with it, and we will get that stack spot, but everybody needs to stack there. Lintok, you asked if melee have the bomb. Melee do not get the bomb. Yeah, the only way for a non-mana user to get the bomb is if they have aggro, like Phil said.
So Dilix has a chance to get it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Enhancement Shamans will. And the bomb area is behind the boss for a very good reason. Worst case scenario, you running out and get tail swiped towards the bombs area.
Cats and bears should be immune from getting the bomb unless they have aggro, unless Blizzard fucked something up. But it should.
Yeah. So
Now you'll know.
Generally, you want to make like a straight line perpendicular from Vale and run out of melee range, out of his range, and then run towards the bomb. But again, because the bomb area is actually behind him, the worst thing that's going to happen is you get tail swiped on the way back out to the bomb area. So it shouldn't be that big of a for enhancement shamans to run out. But yeah, obviously we'll be calling out your name. Any other questions about Vale? I think the tanks are pretty good on what they're going to do. We don't need to reiterate what they're doing. They have to do a little transition. They move in front of Vale ahead of time, right before the tank dies. Basically, maybe they eat a flame breath and a cleave, but they get in head so that he doesn't turn and tail swipe everybody, and the tanks consecutively die. Hopefully, we only have one tank die if we kill it fast enough, but I'm not worried about killing it fast because I don't want anybody to pull threat. Worst case scenario is we have 2 tanks die, and that's no big deal. We're expecting tanks to die, so
we're going to bring some flasks with us. So even if the tanks die and lose buffs, we're going to flask them for the last 2 bosses anyway. At least we're going to flask at least one of them for the last 2 bosses anyway. Not a big deal.
After that, there's a couple nasty trash packs. What we did on the private server, Ilt has them outlined really well. Ignore the photo for Ilt has them outlined really well, and the video shows how we do them really well. So the druids run up, the resto druids run up and spam hibernate on a couple mobs. We tank a couple mobs and kill them single target consecutively, and we kite a couple mobs. That stuff will be macroed and assigned out. We'll mark them all, and we'll do those pulls. Everybody just needs to be in position. I think the mobs knock, so we kind of tank them in cubbies, basically. And then we kill the kited mobs, and then we go up and kill the mobs that have been spam hibernated for the entire. They're a big pain in the ass if the pull and the execution on the kiting and stuff isn't pulled off, but it's really not that hard. It's more just about coordinating the CC and making sure tanks have everything picked up. If for some reason we wipe on that trash, the entire trash pack respawns. So obviously we need to be good at killing it because it doesn't get any easier.
And I'm sorry if I already said this, but just the hunters, when you kite, you can freely kite all the way back into Razor Gore's room. There's quite a bit of room.
And then after that, there's 2 of those trash packs, and then we run upstairs around the corridor. Everybody hugs that left side as you're running up. It'll be up. Because on your right will be the suppression room. It's going to be a bunch of traps and a bunch of patrols, a bunch of whelps. Again, if you haven't watched the video, watch the video. It shows how we walk through the suppression room. That is invaluable. But
the video actually shows us fuck a couple things up too, and it shows how we deal with them, which is also equally as important, I think. Because that suppression video is while we were actually progressing ourselves. It was early stages for us.
So sorry. No, that's good. So Amora, to answer your question, you can see rogues in stealth. See how you're not in my group, and you can see me with the skull over here in the trees. So the pets will be unnecessary. For better or worse, the pets will be unnecessary, and the rogues can just have raid markers on themselves.
Oh no cockroach.
You can still bring it. We're just not going to mark it because it's easier to just see the rogue. As you can see, there's like a couple stop points. There might be more stop points. It just depends on how easy it is to pull the patrols in. Basically, we will group up all the whelps. We will not be cleaving or AoEing the whelps until called for. We will pull the packs. We will pull 1 dragon, kill the dragon. We will kill 1 pack of the orcs, kill the orcs, possibly sheep them or just cleave them down if we have some good interrupts. Kill 1 dragon at a time. Take it safe our first time through the suppression room. Gather up. Once we cleared far enough ahead and the whelps are a little overwhelming, we AoE down all the whelps, get off a quick drink, and then once whelps start respawning, we move ahead again. Normally we can get about 1 to 2 stops in that first room, 1 stop ideally, and then we move up to the corner hallway, and we gather up the whelps in the corner hallway, AoE down the whelps, drink there, and then move over to the other corner, drink there, pull a couple more packs, move up to right before Broodlord, kill a couple more packs, kill the whelps, drink there.
One thing, and if you said it, it's important enough that I'm going to say it again. Unless it's a mana-tied totem, no totems in any. As soon as the second we step foot in the suppression room, no totems from then until we are on the bottom.
Yeah, because we don't want to have to be constantly yelling, pull totems, pull totems, pull totems, and somebody forgets to pull their totems or DCs, and there's a totem way back, and we pull half a room of whelps. It's really bad. So no totems. Rogues, we can kind of go over maybe before the raid. I'll have like a small rogue meeting. It's not really that hard. But rogues will basically be stealth. We'll have one rogue ahead, disarming the traps for where we're pulling ahead, and where we're running ahead, one rogue with the raid and one rogue basically picking up the stragglers behind the raid, or something that's just behind the raid but still in range of ticking on us. Disarming a trap does not break stealth. You will just stay stealthed. If you get broken out of stealth, no big deal. The flame walkers do some AoE shit and you might get broken out of stealth, no big. Just stand on your trap and spam right click the trap. And that's it. That's all you do. And we kind of leapfrog. The rogues will have marks on them, and we just kind of leapfrog and make sure that there's always a rogue on top of a trap at all. On Broodlord, how it worked on private servers at least, not sure about vanilla. Sorry, I'm coughing like a maniac. Talking a lot's not helping, but we'll get through this.
You're doing good, man.
There's 3 traps. Really 2 that stay in range of where we position. You can see I have them marked on that map. So those first 2 up on the northeast side of that map, rogues will be stealthed and disabling that before we pull. So we'll pull those couple whelps and tank them as we prepare to fight. We will kill those whelps. Rogues will have those traps despawned already, and the raid will run in and get it in position. Another rogue will be assigned to go get the ranged trap. As soon as we pull Broodlord, the other rogue will go get the ranged trap. How it worked at the end of private servers was that once you pull Broodlord, the traps stop respawning, which means you disable those traps and then you go back and DPS Broodlord. No big.
That's how I remember it from vanilla too.
There is a chance that at the beginning of at least Nostaria's PvE or Elysium or whatever the fuck it was, they did not despawn when you pulled Broodlord, and the rogues were full-time just disarming traps. That's all you did. You stood on your trap for the entire Broodlord fight and just spam disarmed it, because losing your DPS was better than slowing the whole raid and slowing cast time and attack speed and everything. So that is the traps, and that is all the way up to the Broodlord pull. Any questions about Suppression Room and up to Broodlord pull?
It's just super. I'm big with the reiteration. Especially for Suppression Room, do not release if you die, because there's enough of us in the raid that have done this before that we're pretty fucking good about and dealing with it. And if you release, you'll fuck us all up.
Yeah, just make sure that you're always with the raid. If you end up dying, we will get out of combat with the whelps. Somebody will be spamming res. We'll get you up. We'll get recovered. We'll kill a few whelps a couple times if we need to, and we'll get recovered and move forward. That's Suppression Room and Broodlord Pool. Broodlord himself, he has 3 major abilities: Cleave, Blast Wave, and Mortal Strike. 4, I guess, Knockback. The raid only needs to deal with Blast Wave. Well, they need to deal with everything. One thing that I didn't mention was the Hatchers, is what they're called in the Suppression Room, that we pull with Hunters. They do casts, and sometimes they like to cast on the Hunter and then not come to us. So one thing that's important is to have mages rotating on those pools and counterspelling their casts so that the Hatchers come to us throughout the Suppression Room. And also the Orcs. I'm actually not sure about the Hatchers. Maybe more you just meant the Orc. But so then in that case, we'll have 3 mages assigned to the Orcs and
He's right.
the Orcs.
We also had to interrupt the Hatchers.
Okay. Well, the Orcs, they at least do a heal. I'm not sure if they do another cast outside of the heal, but we'll have people assigned to make sure that ranged are interrupting them so they come to the raid where we want them to come. Broodlord, we pulled him already. We have him in position. Tanks have him up in that corner. Ranged and healers ran to the other side and are on the opposite side of the melee are standing behind the boss so they don't get cleaved. All tanks are standing in front of the boss so they do get cleaved, because they need to get rage so they get as much threat as possible. The entire raid needs to stay below the threat of all 3 tanks. He does a single target knockback that reduces that target's threat by 50%. So that's a big number. So what will happen is it will go to the next tank in line, and that tank will just try to catch up. Eventually, by the end of the fight, there's basically a threat cap because you can't keep up with 50% of however much threat that is, and DPS become threat cap. So this is where Feign Death and Vanish become really important to time and use correctly. And mages and warlocks might just end up wanding or doing nothing. But I think our DPS is high enough. Enough people will ride up to the threat limit throughout the fight that will kill them pretty fast, and it won't be an issue. But
there will be
stay
a time
below
or
all three
two.
tanks.
There will be a time or two as a mage or a warlock where you'll just literally have to turn away around and literally stop casting for 3-4 seconds.
Yep. The other big thing, cleave, that covers cleave and knockback. Stay below the tanks in threat. Tanks are getting cleaved, and we're melee standing behind. He does a blast wave. That does like a knockback mechanic as well, or like a knock up away, knock away, different from the single target knockback mechanic that's mentioned there. So if the damage, basically our first run of Broodlord, we will try to line of sight. To be safe, instead of sorry, we will try to line of sight the blast wave, avoid that mechanic entirely as most of the melee to reduce strain on healer. Because what the healers need to focus on is healing the tanks. This dude hits like a truck because all the tanks are going to be eating the cleave. His melee attacks hit pretty hard, and the mortal strike hits for a fuck. Like, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but like 5k. And so the mortal strike is going to hit, and it's going to reduce all healing on the tank, and they're going to be hit for like 75% of their HP. So what this means, because he hits so hard, is that priests need to be prepared to power word shield immediately after the mortal strike. 1, because the tank's almost dead, and 2, because power word shield is the only healing in the game that's not affected by the mortal strike mechanic. It's going to absorb however much it absorbs, no matter what healing reduction effect is on the tank. So as soon as the mortal strikes, priests need to hit a power word shield. I'm not sure if that needs to be rotated or how best to make that happen. I'm sure healers will figure that out. Warriors, be ready with last stand or potions, stone shield potions, or whatever needs to be done to survive that fight. And the other big thing is that we are going to be using, for sure, probably on all bosses our first time through Blackwing Lair, but for sure Broodlord, we're going to be using Demo Shout and Thunderclap to reduce his damage to the tanks, and we're also not going to be using Curse of Recklessness. Whoever is assigned to Curse of Recklessness for the raid is instead going to put up Curse of Weakness to really be safe and make sure that Broodlord doesn't just insta-give our tanks. Any questions about Broodlord?
That means we're going to have a DPS warrior that needs to keep clap up because the tanks will be in defensive the whole time.
As he was just talking about how the tanks, the entirety of the fight, are just going to be taking massive chunks of damage. All of them will be. That the mechanics are for ranged. You can just range. You'll never take if you're ranged and you're doing it properly. You will literally never take damage. If you're a healer, you will literally never take damage. If you're a melee and you preemptively run out of the AoE like you should, you literally will never take damage. So as a melee, I would think that when you run out, if you somehow mess up on preemptively running out and you take some damage, you should be prepared to heal yourself, because the healers are going to be just dumping heals into our tanks. You're going to be taking just shit tons of damage.
Okay, so after that is some trash
Bosses are supposedly not affected by Scorpion Sting, but that's not 100% confirmed.
Yeah, I think not. It's kind of like Gut Gore Ripper and Lobotomy, where bosses basically don't have stats, I think is kind of how Classic is. So reducing their stats isn't a thing, so they're just immune to it. They're basically just coded with, they have armor and attack power, and that's it. They don't have like intellect and shit. Anyway, after Broodlord, the other thing to mention that's mentioned there, the gate opens, and when the boss dies, the gate's going to open, and don't stand in front of the gate because there's going to be trash mobs there. So be out of line of sight of the gate. be away from the gate. Don't pull the trash when we're not ready. We'll sort out the loot, get the pack marked up. I think we kill either 1 or 2 of those trash packs before Firemaw. These trash packs are hard a little bit. It takes at least a lot of coordination. We're probably going to be kiting some mobs. We're going to be... Vilius, are you planning on tanking the goblins or have a mage?
Darhole.
Oh.
We're theory crafting it right now in the lock channel. Actually, someone suggested lips. Lips might be a good.
Are we gonna have a warlock tank?
Yeah.
Fucking right.
Oh.
Are we just going to kill him first?
No, we'll kill him after we get the warlocks down at least.
So how does the warlock... Don't they need to...
Basically, they're like a hive mind for threat, so the warlock just spams an instant on one of them. This is what Chocolate Milk did for their goblin packs, so I think it should work on classic.
I mean, the only instant I got is like a Shadowburn Death Coil, but after that, Sarah Pain's will have something.
Any dot, anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So they just spam like a couple Searing Pains and instant cast into it and just run in circles, keeping it dotted, and they have aggro on it over the healers. Cool.
It should work. I hope it works, but it'll be hilarious no matter what happens.
Perfect. So there's goblins and there's warlocks and there's spellbind